Act as if you cannot fail, then don't. There comes a moment in every life when silence becomes unbearable, not the silence of the room, but the silence of the soul. The aching quiet that creeps in when your purpose is unknown, your dreams are faint, and your days pass like shadows, lightless, weightless, forgettable, and in that stillness a question echoes, not from the world, but from within. Who will you become if you stop waiting? This world does not reward potential, it rewards proof. It rewards the man who acts, not the man who waits for the perfect plan, the right moment, or someone else's permission. History is not made by the careful. It's made by the bold, the ones who stepped forward before the ground was firm beneath their feet, the ones who burned the ships, shattered the excuses, and dared to speak the language of certainty in a world addicted to doubt. You want power, then declare war on hesitation. You want freedom, then kill the habit of postponing your greatness, because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. The man who walks as though he cannot fail is not reckless, he is free. Free from fear, free from the imaginary chains of what if, free from the illusion that safety is anything more than a cage dressed in comfort. Think of Edison, hands blackened by failure, eyes lit with fire. 10,000 failures before the light bulb, 10,000 ways the world told him he was wrong, but he acted anyway, not because he knew he would succeed, but because he knew he had to try as if failure were not an option. He refused to believe that effort without guarantee was a waste. He believed, not in the result, but in himself. That belief is not fantasy. It is force, it is power, it is law. Act as if you cannot fail is not about arrogance. It's about alignment, alignment with your purpose, alignment with the truth that your desires were not planted in your heart to mock you. They were placed there to awaken you, to provoke you into action, to remind you that the greatest danger is not failure. It is abandoning the mission before it begins. There is a rhythm to achievement, a current like electricity that flows through the man who is certain. When belief becomes posture, when conviction shapes every step you take, the universe tilts, circumstances bend, doubt trembles, because faith in motion is more powerful than facts on paper. And when you walk like the outcome is already written, you stop waiting for doors to open and start knocking them off the hinges. But this mindset, this unshakable certainty, is not born by accident. It is forged. Forged in the fire of discipline, hammered into shape by the refusal to let mediocrity whisper you to sleep. You don't wake up with belief, you build it day by day, thought by thought, action by action. Look back, look hard, you'll see a trail of moments where fear disguised itself as logic, where you paused when you should have sprinted, where you negotiated with your own fire until it dimmed into a flicker. That man, he hesitated, and hesitation is the silent assassin of destiny. But you are not that man anymore, because now you know, courage is not the absence of fear. It's the decision that what you're building is more important than what you're feeling. That what you're meant to do is more vital than the temporary comfort of avoiding risk. That the man you're becoming is more sacred than the opinions of those who cannot see your vision. Think of Carnegie, a boy from a poor Scottish family working in a cotton factory for $1, 20 a week, who rose not because someone handed him a path, but because he believed he could be more and acted every day in accordance with that belief. Not one day, every day, with relentless clarity, unmatched resolve, and a will that could not be broken. So ask yourself, what would change if you acted like failure was not on the table? How would you walk into a room? How would you speak to your dream? How would you move, build, create, push, lead, if failure were not a possibility but a lie? That shift, that rewiring, is the beginning of greatness, because once you walk like a winner, you start to think like one. And once your thoughts rise, your world follows. The mind, when focused, is not a tool, it's a weapon, and your thoughts are the generals. They dictate the terms of battle. If they are weak, your actions will be scattered, your energy diffused, your life a circle of repetition. But if they are strong, if your inner language commands belief, then your outer world cannot help but conform. There is a reason Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." He wasn't selling fantasy. He was documenting reality. Edison conceived the light. Disney conceived a kingdom from a drawing board. Ford conceived an automobile for the masses in a world of horse-drawn certainty. None of them had proof before they had belief. They acted as if failure was irrelevant, and because they acted, reality followed. So the command is simple. Speak to yourself like a king. Walk like your name belongs in history. Build as if the world will one day study the blueprints of your life and wonder how you did it. Not because you are better than others, but because you believed longer, acted harder, stayed clearer than the rest. You held the vision, you made it real. Do not wait for the world to tell you who you are. Declare it. Do not ask for permission to rise. Take it. Do not pray for a lighter load. Forge a stronger back. You were not born to tiptoe through this life in quiet desperation, hoping to avoid mistakes. You were born to make waves, to cause earthquakes, to shock systems, to turn heads, to leave a legacy so loud it echoes through the bones of generations not yet born. And it starts now, with a decision so deep, so final, that the old version of you has no choice but to step aside. Act as if you cannot fail, then don't, because once you step into that identity, once you breathe it in like oxygen and wear it like armor, the world starts to respond in kind, not immediately, not easily, but inevitably. See, life doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you demand through action, through repetition, through unwavering presence. It yields not to wishes but to will. It obeys not talent but tenacity. There is a law unwritten yet universal. The man who decides cannot be denied, not forever, not by fate, nor by fear, nor by the firestorms of uncertainty. He may be delayed, challenged, bruised, mocked, but never denied. Because when belief and behavior walk hand in hand, mountains move, not metaphorically, literally, and the clarity of that decision. Your decision is everything. Clarity is not a luxury, it's a weapon. When you are clear, the fog of confusion evaporates. Distractions lose their power. Doubt dies in the light of purpose. Clarity is not knowing every step, it's knowing the destination. And when you know where you are going, your feet begin to find the path. Even in darkness, even in chaos, think of Lincoln, a man carved by loss, haunted by failure, yet guided by purpose so clear it could not be broken. Not by war, not by betrayal, not even by death itself. He did not have perfect circumstances. He had a perfect resolve. He did not wonder if he was the man for the job. He became the man because the job demanded it, and the same is true for you. There is no map. There is only movement, there is no script, only spirit, and it is spirit, unyielding, unbreakable. That makes empires rise, but even clarity is not enough, because clarity without discipline is daydreaming. Discipline is the gatekeeper between who you are and who you could be. It is the silent architect, the invisible hand laying bricks in the darkness while the world sleeps. It is boring, yes, repetitive, yes. Unsexy, but it is sacred, because in those unseen hours you are not just working. You are becoming every rep, every early morning, every choice to persist instead of rest. You are casting a vote for the future you. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation. It frees you from the tyranny of mood. It liberates you from the addiction to motivation. It says, I will act because I must, not because I feel like it. And in that there is power. Ford didn't wait to feel inspired. He woke up and built. He showed up to the factory again and again with an idea everyone mocked. An automobile for the average man, madness. But he kept building, kept refining, kept working, until his discipline outlasted their doubt, and the impossible became inevitable. That is the blueprint. That is the rhythm of greatness. Belief that becomes behavior, behavior that becomes habit, habit that becomes identity. And that identity, it is forged in struggle, because nothing worthy comes without resistance. Diamonds are not found in comfort. They are buried beneath pressure, carved by time, revealed only to those willing to dig. So when the road gets hard, and it will, rejoice, because resistance is proof you are moving, proof you are not pretending. The world only throws obstacles at those who matter. If your life is too easy, your path too smooth, it means you're not swinging hard enough. You're not aiming high enough. You're not yet walking like a man who cannot fail. Do not pray for the storm to stop. Pray for the strength to keep walking through it, because adversity is not the enemy. It is the crucible. It is the sacred fire that burns away weakness and reveals who you truly are beneath the surface. Disney was fired from a newspaper because they said he lacked imagination. Can you imagine that? The man who would later build a universe of fantasy told he had no vision. Most would have accepted that verdict. He didn't. He refused to be defined by someone else's blindness. He acted as if he could not fail, and eventually, he didn't. That is the code. That is the heartbeat of every giant. They fail, yes, but they fail forward. They are wounded, yes, but they are not broken. They are doubted, yes, but they are never defined by that doubt. They live with fire in the soul and steel in the spine. They act with urgency, speak with conviction, and move with faith, not in outcomes, but in their ability to create those outcomes, because true power is not found in the absence of chaos. It is found in your ability to remain unmoved within it, to lead yourself when no one else sees the vision, to build silently, to rise quietly, to execute ruthlessly, to show up not once, but over and over again like gravity, constant, inevitable, undeniable. And it begins not with some magical event, but with a single decision, one moment where you say, enough, I am done living beneath my potential, I am done apologizing for my ambition, I am done shrinking to fit in with people who never had the courage to dream. You are not here to survive. You are here to create. You are not here to coast. You are here to climb. You are not here to repeat what's already been done. You are here to redefine what's possible, and the only thing standing between you and that destiny is your willingness to act like it's already yours. Act as if you cannot fail. Then don't. You see, the world is shaped not by those who wait to feel ready, but by those who dare to act while afraid. The groundbreakers, the record setters, the revolutionaries, they all felt the same fear, the same doubt, the same uncertainty. But they didn't negotiate with those feelings. They overrode them, because there's something stronger than fear, identity, and once you assume the identity of the one who cannot fail, fear has no more authority. It becomes noise, static, a whisper against the roar of conviction. It's not about lying to yourself. It's about aligning with the deeper truth, that you were born with the capacity to shape reality. You've simply been taught to forget, conditioned to hesitate, trained to obey limitation. But there comes a point when the soul demands more, a point when the whispers of greatness inside you grow louder than the noise outside you, and in that moment you must choose, obey fear or follow fire. Because fire doesn't wait, fire consumes, fire transforms, and once you ignite it, once you stop treating your life like a rehearsal and begin walking like the main act, the entire rhythm of your existence changes. And the truth is, action is alchemy, not words, not vision boards, action. That single cold shower when you didn't want to get up. That one call you made even though your hands were shaking. That gym session. That meeting. That book you opened. That one step forward. That's where power lies. Not in intensity, in consistency. Do not chase motivation. Build momentum, and let that momentum carry you like a current, like a storm you now command. Because when action becomes your habit, your future becomes your responsibility, and when the future is your responsibility, you stop blaming, circumstances, parents, timing, society. You stop waiting for perfect weather. You become the storm. This is how giants are made, not in birthright, but in behavior. Think of the Roman legions, men who marched into the unknown not because they were certain of victory, but because they were certain of themselves. Trained, hardened, focused. They were not the biggest. They were not the most creative, but they were disciplined. They acted with precision, with belief, with unwavering purpose, and in that they conquered the known world. You want to conquer yours, then you must do the same. Discipline must become your ritual, purpose your oxygen, and action, relentless, unapologetic action, your daily prayer. But let's go deeper, because all action without intention is hollow. You must act not just to move, but to become, to build something inside of you that no external failure can touch. This is where resilience is born, not in bouncing back, but in rising new, in becoming something stronger than before. Something refined by the furnace of pressure, not broken by it. Think of Nelson Mandela, 27 years in a cell, robbed of time, stripped of power, yet somehow gaining something even greater, the unshakable authority of purpose. He emerged not bitter, but brilliant, not just alive, but awakened. And when he walked free, he walked like a man who could not fail, because nothing outside of him could touch what was built within him. That is what you're here to do, build the internal empire, construct an identity that cannot be knocked down, because it is not built on outcomes. It's built on intention, on vision, on values, on a personal constitution that cannot be altered by applause or rejection. And to do that, you must get radical with your standards. Raise the bar so high that mediocrity can no longer breathe in your atmosphere. Refuse to coexist with average. Demand more from yourself in the silence, because the way you train in private is the way you perform in public. You are not entitled to the results of work you haven't done, but you are destined to rise if you pay the price, and the price is everything the weaker version of you wants to avoid: sacrifice, stillness, sweat, self-control. But in that price is a freedom you've never known, because when you are no longer controlled by your urges, when you no longer need the world to tell you you're worthy, you become untouchable. Not arrogant, unstoppable, because you've made peace with discomfort. You've befriended the grind. You've planted your flag in the soil of certainty, and you no longer seek to be rescued. You rescue yourself daily from the chains of the ordinary. This is what act as if you cannot fail truly means. Not delusion, not fantasy, but radical self-responsibility, ruthless execution, and a deep, unshakable knowing that success is not something you chase. It's something you claim. You want the world to bow, then stand up, first to yourself. Stand up to your own excuses, your own comfort, your own fears. Wage war on the version of you that wants to settle. Declare that every moment from this point forward will be governed by one code: I move. I build. I become, no matter how I feel, no matter how long it takes. No matter what anyone says, I act, as if I cannot fail, and then I don't. Because once you truly embody that principle, once you stop dipping your toe in the waters of possibility and dive head first into destiny, something changes in you. You stop asking for permission. You stop second guessing your instinct. You stop wondering if you're ready, and you realize readiness is a lie. Readiness is the great illusion that keeps the masses stuck at the starting line while a few daring souls run anyway. The secret. No one ever feels ready. No Titan ever woke up fully confident on day one. Carnegie didn't feel ready. Jobs didn't feel ready. Oprah didn't feel ready, but they acted anyway. They stepped forward with shaky hands, trembling voices, and uncertain footing. And with every step, they built the bridge as they walked it. So don't wait for readiness, wait for nothing. Step into the arena, scars and all, because greatness doesn't come from preparation alone. It comes from exposure, from collisions with reality, from forging strength in real battles, not theoretical victories. Understand this: you are not behind, you are not late, you are exactly where you need to be, because now is the only moment you ever had to begin. This moment is the spark, this breath, this beat of your heart, this whisper of courage. This is the birthplace of the rest of your life, and the only thing you owe it is action, but not action without soul. Not hustle without alignment. I'm talking about intentional action, the kind that moves mountains because it is born not from ego, but from purpose, the kind of action that reverberates, echoes, and expands outward into the lives of others. Because this is not just about you. That's the higher truth. This isn't just about your goals, your bank account, your legacy. It's about the lives you touch, the people you inspire, the impact that ripples out from the fire you light within yourself. Martin Luther King Jr. didn't march for himself. Mother Teresa didn't serve for applause. They acted from belief, belief in something bigger than them, something sacred, something unstoppable, and that's what you must find. That purpose so big it pulls you out of bed before the sun, keeps you standing when you feel like falling, and lifts you beyond the reach of any obstacle. Purpose is the compass. Purpose is the engine. Purpose is the armor you wear when the world throws stones, because when you have a purpose, you are no longer fragile. You are formidable. Purpose is what turns hard work into holy work. It transforms sacrifice into sacredness. It makes the struggle worth it. So if you're lost, if you've forgotten your strength, go back to purpose. Strip away the noise, the distractions, the false metrics of success, and ask, why did I begin? That answer is still in you. It never left. It may be buried, but it is not dead. Resurrect it. Fan the flame again, because if your life is a fire, then purpose is the oxygen. And once you breathe it in, you will burn so bright that fear can't survive in your presence. And with purpose in your lungs, now it's time to master the final piece, the art of adaptation, because life is not linear. It doesn't care how perfect your plans are. It doesn't obey your schedule. It throws curveballs, chaos, and collapse. But those who win, they don't resist the storm. They become it. They flow. They flex. They adjust. They adapt faster than the world can knock them down, and that is the mark of the invincible, the ability to evolve in real time. Like Edison, who failed over 1,000 times before perfecting the light bulb. He didn't even call them failures. He called them steps. Not 1,000 losses, 1,000 adjustments. That's the mindset of the immortal. Change is not your enemy. Resistance is. Because the moment you stop evolving, you begin dying, and the world has no sympathy for those who refuse to move forward. So move, shift, learn, grow, rebuild. If they close the door, build a window. If they block your path, create a new road. If they bury you, remember that seeds grow in darkness. You were made to adapt, not collapse. You were made to rise, not retreat. And every time you do, every time you come back sharper, wiser, and stronger than before, you send a message, not just to the world, but to yourself. I do not break, I transform. This is the alchemy of the unbreakable. To take pain and forge power, to take chaos and create clarity, to take loss and convert it into legacy. You want a winning mindset, then earn it. In the moments no one sees. In the decisions that seem small, in the way you talk to yourself when you're tired, frustrated, unseen, because that's when it counts, not when the lights are on, not when the crowd is watching, but in the silence. In the shadows, in the dark night of the soul where most people quit. But you are not most people. You are fire in the form of flesh. You are breath wrapped in belief. You are a soul with a mission so divine that no amount of failure, delay, or rejection can cancel it, unless you surrender. And you won't, because you've made the decision, you've crossed the line, you've burned the boats, and from this moment forward you no longer negotiate with your calling. You live it, boldly, loudly. Unapologetically, because you act as if you cannot fail, and now you won't, and now that you've remembered who you are, now that you've seen what you truly carry inside, there is only one thing left to do. Live it not tomorrow, not when it's easier, not when the stars align, or when the noise dies down, or when you're no longer afraid. Now, because the clock is ticking, and not 1 second of your life will wait for you to become who you were meant to be. The world is not obligated to recognize potential. It only responds to power in motion, power that moves, power that claims, power that creates. So if you want the throne, build the kingdom. If you want the victory, bleed for it. There is no cavalry coming. There is no chosen one. You are the spark. You are the ignition. You are the revolution you've been waiting for. Stop trying to be perfect. Stop trying to avoid pain. Perfection never changed the world. Conviction did. People with burning hearts and trembling voices. People with scarred hands and relentless hope. People who walked through hell and emerged carrying heaven in their eyes. That's who builds empires. That's who shapes generations. That's who becomes immortal, not by blood, not by luck, by belief. So if you believe in something, show it with your life, not your words, not your hashtags, your life, the way you show up when it's hard, the way you keep your promises, the way you refuse to quit when everything inside you screams for relief. That's what defines you, not the moments of comfort, but the moments you could have escaped and didn't. The moments you could have folded and chose to rise, and I need you to hear this. There will come a day when the dust settles, when the crowd stops watching, when the spotlight fades and the only thing left is you. Alone, looking in the mirror, and on that day, you will either feel the peace of discipline or the sting of regret. Choose discipline, choose alignment, choose the harder road, because that's the one that leads home. Home to the person you were always meant to become. And when you arrive, when you stand on the summit of everything you once dreamed about, you won't feel surprise, you won't feel lucky, you'll feel ready, because you've been preparing in the dark for a light only you could see. So walk boldly into your destiny, with scars, with fire, with fists clenched and eyes wide open. Walk like a conqueror, move like a force of nature, speak like every word is prophecy, because it is. Because when you live like you cannot fail, you don't just change your life. You change the lives of everyone watching. You light torches in the hearts of people still trapped in shadows. You awaken the sleeping giants. You restore the forgotten flame of belief in those who were told to settle. This is what greatness does. It multiplies, it spills over, it breaks chains, and your life, is the match that starts it all. So let the world feel your fire. Let them watch you stand in moments meant to destroy you. Let them see what happens when one human being decides that doubt is no longer allowed to sit at the table, that fear no longer calls the shots, that failure is just another brushstroke in the masterpiece, because you are not here to blend in. You are not here to survive. You are here to burn, to break, to build, to become. And when it's all said and done, when the history of your soul is written in stars and sweat and sacrifice, it won't say you hoped, it won't say you tried, it won't say you waited for the right time, it will say you acted. As if you could not fail, and then you didn't.